Financially secure family. How are you today? I hope you're doing good. We're gonna watch another video. I've been doing a lot of these, but I am so curious to see how people have started this, to see if we can learn from this, to figure out our own ways in life. Today we're gonna be watching a video based off of the success story of the Marriott Hotel. What caught my eye is the clickbait title, how a 13-year-old made his $25 billion empire from selling soda. So I'm curious to see how selling soda, a 13-year-old, which kind of proves that it doesn't matter what age you are. Let's build an empire. Let's get right into it.
It is the world's largest hotel chain. Before it became a living example of the American dream, it was a failing A&W root beer stand. It all started when a sheep herder was forced
A&W? Okay, I'm seeing some connections already.
Herder was forced to take on the burden of his father's bankruptcy.
A 13-year-old had to help with his father's bankruptcy? That's rough. Oh my goodness. I feel so bad for, that families, But that's just horrible that he had to go through that. He had to grow up so early.
In 1900, Bill Marriott was born in Marriott, Utah, a town founded by his great-grandfather.
Wait, hold up, 1900? This is history, okay?
His parents were poor sheep herders who raised Bill and his 7 siblings on their tiny farm. When Bill was just 8
Oh, that's cute. He was a farm boy.
years old, he started to help his parents raise their flock. The experience quickly taught him to work hard and take responsibility.
Okay, so he kind of had to grow up at a young age anyway because he's a farmer. But that still sucks.
My father gave me the responsibility of a man. He would tell me what he wanted done, but never said much about how to do it. It was up to me to find out for myself. By the time he was 13 years
Dang. I don't know what to say about that. So he was pretty much on his own. He had a family, but he was pretty much on his own. Dang, okay.
13 years old, he felt confident enough to start his own business.
At 13 years old? At 13 years old, he just woke up one day. He's like, you know what? I think it's time to start a business. What kind of 13-year-old has that mindset? What kind of 13-year-old decides to do that?
Found a few acres of unused land and planted lettuce. While the business was profitable, he had to call it quits after just 1 year. Bill's father asked him to take 3,000 sheep and travel by rail to San Francisco.
Dang. With sheep? That's insane. But the fact that he started a business at 13 selling lettuce, and it was profitable, it was actually, pretty successful based off, profit. And then he had to quit that to help his father bring his sheep to San Francisco. Why do the sheep need to go to San Francisco? I don't know anything about farming.
There, Bill was tasked with the responsibility of completing a major sale.
Oh, they're selling the sheep. Sheep sellers, okay.
On, Bill took on so many responsibilities that he was forced to drop out of high school. Afterwards, he traveled east to complete a missionary service. On his way back home, he stopped by Washington.
Dang, that just came out of nowhere. Yeah, it seems like a lot of successful people back then had to drop out of high school because of how much work they had. Which ultimately just shows you that you don't technically need school, even though it was back then. I feel like it applies even more now because it's just a matter of your work ethic and how much you want it, not technically school. You feel me? Education is still important. You need to learn, which is what he's doing. He's learning through experience and he's having to do all this stuff. But he doesn't need school for that. Sephora's wisdom of the day.
Home, he stopped by Washington. There, he discovered a new popular hangout spot, root beer stands. Many would wait in lines around the block for a cold glass of root beer. Bill was inspired by what he saw, but like his first venture, his plans would have to wait. When he returned home, he discovered...
Okay, so he had this idea in his head. He had time to think about it. Okay.
Discovered that his father had gone bankrupt. The economic downturn caused the price of sheep to plummet. The devastating news was a wake-up call to Bill.
Oh, dang, but his lettuce business! His lettuce business was left! Oh my goodness. I wonder, could he pick it up again to make some profit and, focus on that instead of the sheep? Because I feel like that would be a good way to go. And the root beer business, but that's kind of risky.
He became more eager to build a better future and further his education. He started by completing the work needed to graduate high school and asked his 7th grade teacher for help.
Oh, hey, so he did graduate high school. That's pretty chill. Okay. That's a good accomplishment. I just barely graduated.
Later, his teacher became the president of Weber State College. Bill was keen on attending but had no money for tuition. So he asked his teacher if he could teach theology to cover his tuition. Fortunately, his teacher agreed. 2 years later...
Okay, I probably spoke way too soon with the whole education thing based off of this story, but you still don't need college.
Bill transferred to the University of Utah to...
Hey, UNLV, let's go!
cover tuition. He sold woolen underwear to lumberjacks. While they were expensive, Bill came up with a genius selling strategy. He would ask 2 of the meanest looking lumberjacks he could find and challenge them.
Why did he look out for the mean looking ones? I'm so confused to why, he's like, I need the meanest looking guys, not the toughest, not the strongest, not based off their work ethic. They look mean.
Each of you take a leg of this pair of underwear. If you can pull it apart, I'll give you a free pair. If you can't, you have to buy it. The lumberjacks would give a tug of war, but could never tear the underwear apart. It helped Bill make a huge profit and become the best salesman in the company.
That is literally so funny how he made that money. But it's kind of smart. That's creative.
While Bill faced many hardships early in life, it encouraged him to create opportunities for himself and later turn a failing business into an empire. In Bill's final year of college, he fell for another student named Alice Sheets. For their first date, he took Alice to an A&W root beer stand. He was surprised to...
Okay, so did he take A&W and make it better, or did he make his own root beer?
Surprised to discover so many people line up around the block as he saw in Washington. Not long after, Bill decided to jump on the opportunity and hopped on a train to Sacramento. There, he tracked down the owner of A&W, Roy Allen. Bill managed to...
Dang, he really just tracked down the owner as if it was nothing. He was like, I'm gonna get on this train and track you down, bro.
To convince Roy to give him a license to sell A&W root beer in the Washington area. He knew summers were considered hot and miserable and that the product would be in demand.
Oh, okay, so I'm starting to see it he was a salesman for the underwear and he was learning how to be a salesman. So this is just a recap because I'm slow. So he goes, tracks the A&W owner down, asks if he can sell their root beer, and that's how it starts. Okay, I'm getting it.
After returning to Utah and graduating from college, Bill married Alice.
Oh, that's so cute. That's so great that he found a lover, because I feel like in so many big entrepreneur stories where they have this huge business that has changed the world, I feel like because they have to work so hard and put in so much time that they don't have time for relationships, or their wife or husband just cannot deal with it because they never see them.
Pooled their savings together and partnered with an old friend, Hugh Colton, to open their first root beer stand. Together, they found a small spot on the 14th Street that could fit 9 stools. In May 1927, their root beer stand was officially open for business. Locals were hooked and the business did well. But as winter approached, sales fell flat. Nobody wanted ice-cold root beer when it was cold and raining.
Oh man! So he could start selling something else during that time, like hot chocolate or something. Or some warm root beer. I don't know. I'm starting to think crazy now. But what if you could take a cold beverage and you could make a warm version of that for the winter? That would probably take a really long time, like past the season though.
Better get something hot in here to eat, or you're going to be out of business, customers warned. Fortunately, Alice came up with a brilliant idea.
Oh my gosh! She's an entrepreneur too! They're working together! I love that! The entrepreneur relationship's like, oh my gosh! Oh, I love it when they're supportive and they're like contributing and okay.
Walked to the nearby Mexican embassy and asked the chef if he could teach her how to make a few hot dishes. He not only said yes, but gave Alice his secret recipes. Afterwards, Bill got permission from
That's amazing! Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for her.
Got permission from A&W to serve hot food. Alice would cook chili and hot tamales in their tiny apartment and then carry them over. Later,
That sounds so good because I am so hungry right now. It's like 10 a.m., but I'm ready for some good tamales.
Later, they expanded the menu by adding hamburgers and hot dogs and changed the business name to Hot Shop. Only 1 year later, Bill, Alice, and Hugh opened 2 more hot shops. For their third location, Bill betted on the future of the industry.
Wow, so they really thrived off of that. That's so great that they made a change because if you don't change, you're gonna get shoved into the ground.
With more Americans driving automobiles, he recognized the need for a drive-in restaurant. So he bought a vacant lot, removed the curb, and offered the first drive-in service on the east. By then,
Wow, cool. So Wendy's did the first drive-through, and this dude working with A&W has made the first drive-through in the East. Okay, that's pretty awesome.
Hugh realized the business wasn't big enough to support 2 families and sold his half. Afterwards, Bill and Alice had no choice but to work late at the restaurant, often until 2 a.m. It was then that he had
Jeez, that's horrible. Oh my gosh. And working with food all day like that, and then having to work with food like that until 2 a.m.? No, thank you.
He had another wake-up call. This time, it led to discovering a simple key to success that expanded his future empire internationally.
I always feel like it's like that. Like you're trying to figure something out. Like I need this key in order for this business to thrive. I just can't figure out what this needs. And then all of a sudden it hits you and it's literally the most simple thing ever. And everyone's like, genius. And then it thrives and it's like, whoa. But it just took a minute to think of that key. The key that opens. Kind of like when you're searching through your keychain full of keys for the right key.
One day, Bill's cook never showed up for their shift. Bill realized that hiring supervisors alone wasn't enough to retain employees. So he made more.
Oh my goodness, yeah, you can't, that's a whole thing. That's what I've been reading in the E-Myth book. Let me get it. I'll be right back. It's right next to me. Got it. The E-Myth book. Yes, the E-Myth book. Oh wow, it's like all blurry. I have to tilt it this way for you to see it, but the E-Myth book. I've been reading, you can't depend on your employees, because sooner or later, they're not going to be able to give you what you need. Like, how this dude wasn't able to show up one day.
So he made more of an effort to get to know each one and started a healthcare program. Take care of your people, and they will take care of your customers, he often said.
Dang, okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
A few years later, Bill's new focus helped to open 8 more restaurants. He and his family.
Oh my gosh, dude! This guy is thriving. He thrives, and then there's a problem and he dips a little, and then he thrives, and then he dips a little, and then he thrives, and it's dang.
Family would decide on new locations by staking out intersections and counting each passing car.
This dude is crazy. Who in their right mind would go to an intersection and count each car? Sir, I don't even, oh my gosh, that sounds horrible.
Bill had finally built a better future for himself as he had hoped for as a teen. But just 1 year later, he was forced to take a step back.
Oh man, yeah, he thrived again. Now he has to dip a little again.
Cancer called Hodgkin's disease. How long do I have? Bill asked his doctor.
That's a big dip.
Bill asked his doctor. 6 months, a year at most.
I bet he thrives through it. I bet he doesn't die. He's too powerful. He's not like that. He defeats that. He's like, nah. I'm just kidding though. Don't take me seriously because
Bill's doctor warned that he needed to take a break from the business and suggested a long vacation.
thank you, because the dude has started counting cars at intersections. I think he needs a break. Jeez.
You might be able to live longer.
Yeah, that stress, dude.
Took his advice and went on a road trip with Alice and his newborn son, Bill Jr. They managed to make it all the way up to the eastern seaboard. When they returned home, Bill felt a strong need to seek guidance from his church, so he invited 2 members to his home and asked for a blessing. A few weeks later, the unimaginable happened. Bill's lymphatic swellings went down and then slowly vanished altogether. Months later,
The power of the Lord. I'm not even playing.
Months later, Bill's doctor delivered surprising news. They couldn't find the faintest trace of Hodgkin's disease.
I mean, that's the Lord right there. Oh my gosh. I didn't know we would get here, but dang. That's some powerful stuff.
Bill returned to work, and just a few years later, he discovered a new opportunity that gave him a lucky break. One of his managers shared that people were bringing their meals onto their flights, so Bill made takeout boxes for them and then
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And he's still thriving. Oh my goodness.
took it a step further. He met with several airline companies and pitched the idea of delivering pre-boxed meals, a first for the industry. The airlines agreed without hesitation.
It's crazy to me that all of these really popular, it's crazy to me that all of these successful businesses have created a whole new revelation for things. Like Coco Chanel has women's movement, created purses, created a new look for women, like comfortable and casual and a little more masculine. And Wendy's did the drive-through, and now this dude is doing airplane food. It's like insane.
Without hesitation. Within a year, Hot Shops was servicing 20 daily flights for the Washington Hoover Airport. And by the early 1940s, Bill and Alice were juggling 24 Hot Shop restaurants. Many Americans considered it a big deal to take their family to one. Business continued to grow, up until...
That's insane. Okay, so he started with root beer, and then he went, because of his wife, by the way, because they're a team. They started with, they went to hot food, and then they have 24 restaurants, and now they're going to airplane food, and oh my goodness, that's just ultimate growth right there.
Up until America prepared for the Second World War. Instead of being...
Dang, that sucks. Oh my gosh, I wonder what he does in order to keep thriving through that war. Because it's kind of like the pandemic. Obviously, I'm not comparing a war to a pandemic. But I kind of am, because businesses really had to change through the pandemic just like the war. So I wonder if he didn't figure out how to get through that, and then it just kind of fell down, or if it started thriving even more because he figured out a way to get around it.
Discouraged, Bill pivoted by managing cafeterias in government office buildings and war production factories. When the war
I don't have to say anything.
ended, business returned to normal. But not long after, it was threatened by its biggest competitor, McDonald's.
that was oh my gosh, McDonald's
could make a hamburger in 2 minutes for 15 cents. Meanwhile, it took Hot Shop 15 minutes and cost 50 cents.
Oh man, that's tough. That's hard to beat.
It was around then that Bill decided to raise money by taking the company public. On the day of the company's IPO, its stock sold out in just 2 hours. Afterwards, Bill decided it was time to gamble on a new venture, one that would make or break his career and legacy. In the early 1950s,
It's like a movie! This could totally be a movie.
In the early 1950s, travel was on the rise. Experts predicted that passenger jets would be flying in and out of Washington National Airport. It was obvious to Bill that travelers would want to stay somewhere close by, and he had just the perfect location in mind. Just a stone throws away from the airport was 8 acres of land that he bought 3 years earlier. While risky, Bill believed
Oh, never mind. I was gonna be like, why did he buy 8 acres of land? But he literally has like multiple restaurants.
Bill believed now was the time to build his first motel.
Wow! So he went from the restaurant business to completely like a hotel, which is kind of cool because you can still use your food knowledge and all of that stuff and bring it in. So that's kind of cool.
He considered it a logical extension of Hot Shop's care for families on the go. Since Bill, Alice, and their son knew nothing about the industry, they often stayed up all night redecorating and repainting the motel as it was being built.
They work so hard. Jeez, I've never, like, throughout all of these videos that we've been watching, I feel like at least they make it sound like this guy works the hardest. I'm not saying the other people haven't worked hard because obviously they've worked their butts off, but this guy is still going.
In 1957, the motel was officially open for business. It was called the Twin Bridges. With over 300 beds, it was the largest motel in the world. The business did well, but just like Bill's root beer stand, it went downhill as winter approached.
Oh my gosh! What is it? It's that, but he'll come back up, I'm sure.
So bad that Bill could only afford to keep one elevator running. "I don't know what to do with this motel," Bill said to his son Bill Jr. "Why don't you let me run it and I'll learn? You don't know anything about the motel business." "Well, neither does anybody else around there." "Fine, go ahead." Equipped with a degree in finance and banking, Bill Jr. was eager to succeed. He started
Oh my gosh, this is the cutest story ever. I love how family-oriented his life is. They're like giving help to other families, you know? That's literally this is the sweetest story ever. Oh my gosh.
Working for the family business when he was 14 years old and didn't hesitate to take up any task, including cooking burgers and mopping floors. Under Bill Jr.'s management, the motel became more profitable by introducing competitive services.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh. The entrepreneurial mind runs in that family. Oh my goodness.
Services included a reservation system, restaurant, meeting rooms, and even an ice skating rink.
I'm sorry, an ice skating rink? Can I come? Because that sounds real fun.
2 years later, Bill Jr. opened a second motel called the Key Bridge. Later, his father changed the business name to Marriott. Proud of his son's progress, he made Bill Jr. the president and later the CEO.
Aww, that's so cool. I love this family stuff.
While Bill was nervous and admitted he was scared to death, he forged ahead with transforming the family business. He started by pivoting towards hotels and then property management and franchising. Today,
I love that he really just went in to help his dad and his mom with this. He wasn't like, I want to do my own thing, you know? Like, he really wanted to go into the family business.
the Marriott is a billion-dollar international empire that owns dozens of luxury brands, including Ritz-Carlton, W Hotels, St. Regis, Sheraton, and many more. In an interview, Bill shared his definition of success and what it takes to build a legacy. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they never quit. This
Yes, sir! Oh my gosh! They have so much wisdom!
This is the story of how a sheep herder and his sons pivoted their business during uncertain times and built the world's largest hotel chain. For more inspiring stories,
Wow, that was insane. I feel like a changed person watching that. Like, I just watched a movie of this family that's been struggling and now they're good, and oh my goodness, I'm like, okay. Whew, that was interesting. If you like this video, please be sure to hit that like button, and I will see y'all next time.